If you're a leader, you've got a lot on your plate and there's a lot of pressure to make fast decisions, but making the wrong decision or an ill-informed decision can be really damaging to your business. It's a problem, but what if I told you there's a way to apply proven decision-making models using AI to make better informed, faster, and more confident decisions? Sound good? Stick around to find out how. Hello and welcome to My Way or the AI Way. I'm Scott Davison. I'm on a mission to master AI. And in last week's episode, we were looking at strategic leadership and the 4 core skills of leadership. And we touched on decision making, but this is a really important topic. So I wanted to go a bit deeper on this. So today we're going to be looking a bit deeper at decision making. So we're going to be looking at some well-known decision making frameworks like the OODA Loop and applying strategies like Bono's 6-hat thinking methodology. And we'll be using these combined with AI to help you make faster, more strategic decisions as a business leader. But remember, you are the core decision maker. You're in the driver's seat. AI is your co-pilot. So we're looking at how you can use AI to enhance your decision making, not to outsource your decision making. Okay, so as we're going through these examples, try and think of any decisions, any big strategic decisions that you've got sitting on your plate at the moment, and think how you can be applying these concepts and some of these prompts to help you with those big decisions and applying it to your situation. So let's start with a bit of decision-making theory. One of the models I wanted to look at here is called the OODA Loop. And this was invented by Colonel John Boyd of the US Air Force to help fighter pilots react really decisively during fast-moving combat. And it's a loop that looks like this with the 4 stages. So observe, orient, decide, and act. And it's a very simple model, which is now widely applied in business contexts. And the key here is it's not so much about the 4 stages, it's about cycling through the loop and doing that faster than your competitors to get a decisive advantage. So let's look at this model that was originally for combat situations and see how it can be applied in real life business context, starting with the first step, which is observe. So this is about researching and developing context. And obviously AI is great for this. This is one of the things I love about AI. You can just give it so much data and there's so many sources of data. You can just upload files. You can link to your shared drives, but you'll probably have things like notes from meetings, transcripts. You can upload all of those. You can take photos of items and attach that. So there's so many ways to very easily give AI more data. You can also set it off on a task of finding the information by giving it a deep research prompt to go off and find information. And it can take all of that data, can be very unstructured data, and it can do a really good job of identifying patterns and trends within the data that can help you to make informed decisions. So where in the past you might have been making decisions based on gut because you didn't have the resources or the time to do database decisions, really there's no excuse these days. It's accessible to everyone. If you've got the data, you should be using that to help you make more informed decisions, and AI is the tool to help you do that. And this can really help with this first step in the loop of observing. Here's a sample prompt you could be using, this or something similar. You are my research assistant based on this problem, and you give it the details of the problem. Gather the most relevant data, trends, and potential factors I should consider before making a decision. So you're effectively using AI as a research assistant to go off and do some of the research for you, and then it's bringing that back to allow you to observe that data and apply it to the decision. And that's how AI can really help with this first step in the loop of observing. And it's really speeding up a process that perhaps in the past would have taken weeks or cost a lot of money to do. You can speed through it much quicker and you can move on to the second step in the loop, which is orient. So orient is about challenging your assumptions and exploring angles. And AI is a fantastic tool for this. And this is where we can apply some other well-known theories or books in this case. So one example is this book written by Daniel Kahneman, Thinking Fast and Slow. This is a bit of a institution, this book, because it's identified all these heuristics or biases that most humans have. And we need to be aware of these when we're making decisions because they apply to us as well. So you can be using AI to apply theories from a book such as this and setting it up in that role or including that in your prompt. And I'll show you how that's done. Another example would be Edward de Bono's 6 Thinking Hats. This is a much older book. and is still applied today in management circles and in strategic thinking and decision making. And it's about applying the 6 different De Bono hats and thinking of things from 6 different perspectives. And I'll show you how you can apply that using AI also. But, there's any number of different models out there. If you've got ones you like, you can be using AI to help you apply those in a really effective way. So here's a sample prompt you could be using in this example. You are my strategic challenger. Based on my current plan, and you attach your plan, identify my underlying assumptions and potential cognitive biases, challenge them, and then apply the 6 thinking hats in turn to explore different angles and summarize the key insights from each hat. So this is like having a McKinsey management consulting team available to help you through this process, but obviously in seconds and at a fraction of the cost of the old way of doing it. And it's a really strategic, high-value use case for AI. Okay, so let's move on to step 3 in the loop. You've now observed, you've oriented, it's time to decide. And decide is about selecting the best course of action to take. And you can be using AI to help apply the insights from the first 2 steps and apply that to the decision-making step. So here's an example of how you might do that, a sample prompt. Based on the analysis above, generate 3 to 5 possible courses of action, compare them against my key objectives and constraints, and recommend the best option with clear rationale. Using AI as your thought partner to help you move quickly to the decision. And as I say, it's really about how quickly you can cycle through this loop. That's what differentiates you from the competition. And we're cycling through it pretty quickly today. So let's move on to step 4, which is act. This is the implementation, but also this phase where you continue to iterate. Firstly, you can use AI to help you implement a plan, but more importantly, it can also be used to help you track the progress and to suggest refinements and improvements as you go. So a little bit like the agile methodology here, getting it out there, iterating and continuing to improve is a really effective way to make good decisions and also a really effective use of AI. And you can continue to feed in information to AI and get it to refine. So here's a sample prompt for this example. Based on my decisions, and you can obviously insert the decisions you've made and my implementation results. And this is where you would attach any data you have on results so far or just reel off your own perception. You could just flick to audio mode and talk to it. Recommend adjustments to improve outcomes and mitigate risks. So that prompt is based on my decisions and implementation results. Recommend adjustments to improve outcomes and mitigate risks. And AI can be used to just help you refine and continue to iterate and improve as you go. So you can see how AI can help you cycle through this OODA loop much more quickly by removing some of the decision fatigue and sort of eliminating that paralysis by analysis from having too much data. It really speeds up the process, but also helps you make more informed decisions along the way. As I keep stressing, you're still making the decision, particularly for these big, important strategic decisions. You don't want to be outsourcing that completely to AI. You need to be in the loop and making the final decision. There are decisions that can and already are being outsourced completely to AI. They're getting completely automated business decisions. So companies are using AI to make decisions on credit scoring and loan approvals, fraud detection, supply chain optimization, even dynamic pricing. These are all examples of sort of repetitive context-based decisions. So you can actually automate these with AI because it's a consistent, repeatable decision. But for the big strategic, important business decisions, this is where your own judgment is still critical and you're using AI to enhance your decision-making ability, not to replace it. Okay, so on that note, a quick recap, because we've covered a lot in a very short time. We've looked at the OODA Loop, which is observe, orient, decide, and act. We also touched on Daniel Kahneman's heuristics, the biases that are applied to all of us, and we looked at De Bono's 6-hat theory and how we can apply those sort of models using AI. So that's the theory, but more importantly, I hope you can use some of these examples and even some of these example prompts I've done, which I'll put in the show notes for you, and you can start to apply those in practice to practical business, everyday decisions that you're having to make right now using AI and applying some of these models. And just keep experimenting, because the more you use AI, the better you get at it and the better it gets at understanding how you work as well. And remember, you are the thought leader and AI is your thought partner. It's here to enhance you, not replace you. I hope you found that useful. If you did, please follow the show on YouTube or wherever you're watching this, and leave a comment below with any feedback or any questions you have. I love getting those comments, so thank you very much. As you can see, we've really been looking at examples of how to use AI for more strategic uses, and this is sort of part of a mini leadership series that we've been doing. So please go back and look at the most recent episodes on leadership skills using AI. And if you are in a leadership position, start thinking about how you can apply AI to these really high value tasks that have the biggest impact on your business. Thank you again for joining me on this journey to learn more about AI. Until next week, I'm Scott Davison, and this is My Way or the AI Way.